Attention passionate Baltimore Ravens fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the AFC North and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Baltimore Ravens' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Baltimore Ravens fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with YOUR, FRINDS and Baltimore, RAVENS fans. Let's get to the news now. Folks, buckle up because what's buzzing around the NFL right now could be a game changer for the Ravens. And I mean a real seismic shift in the AFC landscape. Rumors are swirling about a potential blockbuster trade that could see Nick Bosa. Yes, the dominant edge rusher from the San Francisco 49ers, packing his bags and heading straight for Baltimore. And believe me, this isn't just some idle chatter. There's substance behind these whispers that could reshape how the Ravens approach their championship window. We all know that Baltimore's defense has been a cornerstone of their success over the years, especially under the leadership of head coach John Harbaugh and defensive coordinator Mike Macdonald. But in recent times, especially after the injury to Nnamdi Madubuike, there's been a noticeable gap along the defensive line, a need for that elite pass rusher who can truly turn up the heat on opposing quarterbacks. Lamar Jackson's resurgence and the Ravens' offensive firepower get a lot of attention, but it's the defense that often decides how deep they can go in the playoffs, and that's where Bosa comes into play. At 28 years old, he's been a force of nature since he burst onto the scene back in 2019. Even with the setback of a torn ACL in 2025, Bosa's 2025 stats before his injury tell a story of elite dominance. In just 3 games, he racked up 10 sacks, a staggering number that places him among the best pass rushers in the league. His 28 solo tackles, 15 quarterback hits, and a PFF grade of 92, 5 top 3 among all edge rushers, show just how impactful he is on every snap. His pass rush win rate of 28% is elite, and he consistently forces pressure with a total of 50 pressures and 65 double teams. That's the kind of disruptive force the Ravens desperately need to elevate their defense from good to borderline historic. Now, let's talk about the specifics of what a trade might look like. Reports suggest that the 49ers, who are currently in a bit of a rebuild after a disappointing season that saw them finish 5-12 and struggle defensively, might be willing to part ways with Bosa. They are said to be eyeing a first-round pick in the 2026 draft, plus a third-rounder in 2027, which is a pretty hefty price, but one that makes sense considering Bosa's talent and contract situation. The 49ers are also looking to free up around $16 million in cap space, which they could use to extend their quarterback, Brock Purdy, or address other roster needs. On the Ravens' side, they've got about $31 million in cap space available, which could comfortably accommodate Bosa's contract, especially considering how much he would upgrade their pass rush. The team has been missing that consistent edge presence since Nnamdi Madubuike was sidelined, and adding Bosa would not only fill that void but would also turn the Ravens' defense into one of the most feared units in the league. Think about it, paired with Odefoe, who has shown flashes of brilliance, and the potential of David Ojabo returning healthy, Baltimore could deploy a relentless pass rush that keeps offenses on their heels, and the impact on the game would be immediate. Bosa's presence would likely boost the Ravens' sack totals by around 22%, pushing from 50 to potentially 61 sacks per season. That kind of pressure could dramatically lower opponents' scoring, turning the Ravens into a top 3 defense in points allowed. His ability to generate pressures, 50 in 2025 before injury, and his double-team rate of 65% means offensive lines will have a nightmare trying to contain him. The Ravens could see a significant decrease in their opponents' yards per game, especially in the passing game, which would give Lamar Jackson and Baltimore's offense much more room to operate. Speaking of Jackson, a consistent pass rush makes a huge difference for a quarterback that thrives on play action and big plays downfield. Jackson's PFF grade of 88 shows he's playing at an elite level when protected, and with Bosa causing chaos in the backfield, that number could go even higher. Plus, the Ravens' run defense would also benefit, with an expected improvement of around 15%. Bosa's ability to clog running lanes and force turnovers would be a nightmare for opposing offenses, especially in a division as competitive as the AFC North. Now, let's not forget about the broader picture. The AFC is stacked this year, with teams like Kansas City, Buffalo, Cincinnati, and Jacksonville all vying for playoff supremacy. But a move like this, acquiring Bosa, could catapult the Ravens into that top-tier conversation. It's reminiscent of the kind of aggressive moves that Super Bowl-winning teams make. Imagine a Ravens defense that can consistently generate pressure on the opposing QB, combined with Lamar's explosive playmaking, and a solid run game led by J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards. That's a recipe for not just playoff success, but a real shot at lifting the Lombardi Trophy again. And speaking of Super Bowls, the odds are already in Baltimore's favor, but with Bosa, those odds could shorten dramatically. Currently, the Ravens are considered long shots at plus 1,200, according to OddsShark, but betting experts believe that if they land Bosa, their chances could jump to plus 600. That's a huge shift, similar to what we saw with the Rams in 2021, when adding Von Miller transformed their defense and playoff run. Bosa's ability to explode in the postseason, combined with his relentless motor, could be the X factor that pushes Baltimore over the top. His presence would not only boost sacks, but also elevate the entire pass rush, forcing turnovers and creating more scoring opportunities for Jackson and the offense. Now, why would the 49ers be open to such a trade? Well, with a projected cap deficit of around $15 million, they may need to make some tough choices. They're also looking to bolster their secondary and receiver core, which have been below expectations in 2025. The team's rebuild efforts suggest they're prioritizing draft picks and cap space to gear up for future success, especially with a young quarterback like Brock Purdy and a defense that needs some fresh legs. Bosa's potential departure could be part of that strategy, especially if they believe they can build around their other young players or get good value in return. For the Ravens, this move wouldn't just be about adding a star. It's about making a statement, showing that they're all in on contending this year and beyond. It's about creating a defense that can dominate from start to finish, making life miserable for quarterbacks and shutting down opponents' offenses. A Bosa-led pass rush could turn the tide in close games, give the offense more short fields, and help set the tone for a deep playoff run. Plus, it would send a message to the AFC that the Ravens aren't just here to make up the numbers. They're here to compete at the highest level and chase their third Super Bowl title. Imagine the scene. Bosa in purple, wreaking havoc in M&T Bank Stadium, the crowd roaring with every sack, every pressure, every game-changing play. That's the kind of impact that could redefine the Ravens for years to come. His addition would bring not just immediate results, but also a long-term boost to the team's identity. A relentless, destructive defense that strikes fear into every opponent. With Lamar Jackson leading the offense and a renewed focus on their defensive line, Baltimore could position itself as a true powerhouse in the AFC, ready to challenge the league's best and finally get back to that Super Bowl stage. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YOUTUBE algorithm to keep recommending the latest Baltimore Ravens news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. So in conclusion, folks, this potential Bosa trade is not just a pipe dream. It's a bold, strategic move that could transform the Ravens' defense into one of the most feared units in the league. It's about making a statement, about showing that Baltimore is serious about chasing another Super Bowl. With Bosa's elite pass-rushing skills, the Ravens could see a significant jump in their defensive stats, and more importantly, in their chances of hoisting the Lombardi Trophy again. The AFC is loaded, but with this kind of talent on their side, Baltimore could be the team that finally breaks through and etches their name into history once more. And now, Baltimore Ravens fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this? Do you think Bosa is the missing piece? Would you trade the future for that kind of immediate impact? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Ravens. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for all the latest Baltimore Ravens news.